Mrs. Kate Zalaska.
Thank you. Right. Novel ready for you here. Thank you, Principal Hogue, Superintendent Heggadesh, Mayor Kurtz, members of the school board, IHS faculty and staff, and thank you, students, graduates, 2023, for having me here today. I am I'm going to move so I can see you, extremely honored, grateful, and humbled to be part of your celebration today. So yes, I graduated in 1997, or the 1900s, as I think they refer it to now, and I was reminded how long ago that was because my kids pointed out that my class photo in the hall is in black and white, so we've come a long way. Actually, it wasn't that long ago, and it truly feels like yesterday. I grew up here in Independence. Some of your parents probably know my mother, Jerry Budenhagen. She taught at the primary school for over 30 years, and she remains one of the best educators to ever serve our community. I think I can say that with confidence. And she taught alongside Miss Menzel, who's also here on the school board. She was my kindergarten teacher and remains one of my favorites. We all know the value of a really good educator, so I hope you take the time to let yours know how much they've influenced you and come back and see them. As Principal Hogue mentioned, I think my proudest legacy here is starting the girls' soccer program, and I think that gives us a unique connection, as I know your class in Cubby Tripodi started the boys' volleyball program. And you not only started it, but you launched it. You went to the state semifinals. Congratulations. Be such a special experience. I know for me, the process of starting something like that, petitioning and recruiting a team, I was very lucky. I had my father, Tom Budenhagen, and Bob Wright, who I think a lot of people might know through wrestling, but he's also a soccer legend. They volunteered to coach, and we booked our own games and busing and our equipment, so it was a very special experience as well. And it taught me so many invaluable lessons that I continue to be grateful for. And then to see it blossomed into such an awesome program today, I'm very proud. And you too should be extremely proud, not only for the boys volleyball program, but for all your achievements, collective and individual. So I don't know how many of you watched Ted Lasso, but there is a scene where Ted Lasso references a quote, "Be curious, not judgmental." And it's an awesome scene. He's talking about being underestimated, feeling judged without really being known. Now, when I was where you are sitting now, and I'm sure you're getting tired of it, everybody asks you, right, what are you doing next? Are you going to work? Are you going to school? Where are you going? And I was very excited to share with people that I was going to the University of Miami in Florida. And believe it or not, I did have people come up to me and tell me that I shouldn't go there. They gave me reasons like it's too far, it's too hot, it's too unsafe, or it's too diverse, if there is such a thing. And you know what, they weren't curious about me or the university and why I would want to go there. And I think it's funny because so many, well, they probably had never even been to Miami, Florida, and certainly they had not been to the university. It's like the writer Glennon Doyle says, stop asking directions to places they've never been. You may not know what your passion is yet, and you might not know what you want to do, but the best way to find that out is to be curious and not judgmental. When I went to college, I started as a broadcasting and theater major, and then I graduated with majors in PR and music, and now I work in sports. So you're allowed to change your mind. I encourage you, try new things, meet people, discover what energizes you. You don't know what you don't know. When I was getting my master's at Ohio State, I studied the negative effects of mass media on children. It sounds very official. And mass media at the time was defined as animated television shows and magazines for kids. Well, fast forward to today, and I think we all know the media landscape has completely transformed. And so I worked to transform with it. And so when I started with Fox Sports, they had a MySpace page. And social media platforms that we know today were new or hadn't even started yet. So I worked to launch and now I manage 12 social media accounts that have over 1 million following, and I learned very quickly how powerful social media is. It's dangerously fast. It gives little time for context, gives little time for error, mistakes, and because so many of the platforms are algorithmic, it can be hard to stay curious and not judgmental, right? Because you're only being fed what you want to see or what it thinks you want to see. And also sitting behind those social accounts, being on the back end, I've seen a lot of people, different kinds. I've seen the best in people rallying around each other to show support, and I've seen the worst in people. I do believe that if people weren't hidden behind their devices, they wouldn't feel so emboldened to be unkind. So I encourage you to be careful, not to let the misperception of being hidden or detached give you permission to compromise who you are. As author Martha Beck says, how you do anything is how you do everything. And from what I've seen and read and already heard from 4 of you already, I can tell you are a very amazing group of students. I learned about actively caring for people, and I'm really proud that you are helping normalize the prioritization of mental health. The work you've done here and for each other, it will serve future students, but it will also continue to serve you. Life transitions like this can be very hard, so give yourselves the kindness that you've built here. We can be our own worst critics, so when things feel hard and, not if, but and, don't turn out exactly as you had hoped, be gentle with yourselves. Making mistakes is just the human coming out of you, and it's in those moments that you learn the most. Be thankful for them, and start again. Of course, starting is the hardest part. I'm a Peloton member, and one of my favorite instructors, Jess Sims, always starts her class by saying, the hardest part is check done, you're here. And I think that applies to everything in life, right? You can talk yourself out of anything. You know, you don't feel like going to class that day, or you don't want to go to work, or your family member is having an event and you just don't feel like going. You can talk yourself out of it, but you know what? Staying back, staying home, opting out, it's never going to take you anywhere. You have to go. You have to show up. You cannot experience anything if you aren't there. And you certainly can't take anything from it that might launch you into your next great unknown. When I was sitting where you are now, I had no idea where I was going other than to the U, which definitely opened the door to amazing experiences and lifelong friendships. But yet, it all came back to independence. After grad school, I reached out to an Independence alumni, Danielle Strainer, who's now Danielle Damberg, and at the time, she worked for the Cleveland Indians. So I reached out to her about an internship, and that connection, that Independence connection, it got my foot in the door, and that led to my first job at the Indians, now Guardians, where not only did I lead their creative services at the end of my time there, but I got to do some really fun things. I was on the field before every game. I played softball on Progressive Field. I met my husband there. And the relationships I made there led to the job with Fox Sports, where I found myself doing social productions with professional athletes like J.R. Smith, or traveling with the Cavaliers to New York, Boston, Denver, Orlando, all over, facilitating media appearances in Los Angeles on Fox Sports 1 with Colin Cowherd and Skip Bayless, even riding on planes and buses and standing on the court next to LeBron James. Here's the big secret. It's a big secret. The people that you look to and you think are very special, they might not really be that special. Yes, there are brilliant and hardworking people in the world, and luck definitely plays a part. But it all begins at the same place. Those special people, they're just the ones who showed up and kept on showing up. It's that first time, the first showing up that gets your foot in the door, like the interview with the Indians, or at Fox Sports when they had a MySpace page and nobody really wanted to get into the new social media. I just raised my hand. I wasn't an expert, I didn't know much, but I just offered. And I kept showing up, I kept raising my hand. See, life unfolds in a series of baby steps, all which present opportunities, and the potential of what comes next is where the magic is. If you show up for the little things, it'll lead you to big things without even realizing it. If someone told me when I was graduating high school that someday I'd work with the Michael Jordan of my day, because LeBron James was 13, and that I'd win an Emmy, or that I would oversee a social media division, when you have to realize when I was graduating, cell phones, iPads, smart technology, it didn't even exist. And so if you told me that, I would say, you're crazy. That sounds impossible, but see, it wasn't impossible. It was just unknown. And you may not feel ready for your unknown, but lucky for you, being ready is not a feeling. You don't feel ready, it's a decision. You choose the ready. You may not have felt ready when you entered high school or made a transition to independence, or when you started the boys volleyball program. You may not have felt ready to put on Shrek the Musical or compete in the vocal competition. But you did, and you're here. And let's not forget, all of your achievements, everything you did here, you did throughout a global pandemic. That sounds impossible. It really does. Principal Hogue shared with me his pride in your class for helping our district grow by advocating for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I have to acknowledge that. I applaud you for serving our school, our community, and each other in a pursuit for creating a safe space. As someone who spent my entire career in a male-dominated industry, often the youngest person and only female in the boardroom, I know that advocating for progress and change can be daunting. It can be hard. But the foundation you've laid here matters, and it is very relevant. You will find that the efforts here have served you well. And of all the achievements that I've read, and believe me, I've been checking out all of your videos on finding your independence. I've read about all of you. And there's so many achievements and honors and things worth celebrating. And you should celebrate all the big and small things. But of all of them, I think what I love the most is how you've shown you are brave and kind. And you give me hope for the future. You may not realize it, but the fast pace at which technology is moving, I see it all the time. It's upending our traditional hierarchy in our culture. It's like a tipping of the scale. You've grown up in a culture of technology that has made you fluent in a language that so many before you are still trying to learn. And that presents you with an amazing opportunity. Use those tools to participate, connect, lead, discover the unknown. And it also gives you a responsibility to keep us moving forward when those before you struggle to keep up. And that might feel overwhelming, maybe even impossible. But remember, be gentle with yourself, celebrate all that you have achieved, be curious, not judgmental, keep taking those baby steps, and continue to show up. Oh, and one more thing, another Peloton instructor I love, Callie Gullickson, she always says, we take our work seriously, but never ourselves. So yes, have fun. This is such a joyous moment, and it's just the beginning for you. I'm excited to watch unfold all the great unknown that lies ahead of you. Congratulations, Independence High School, class of 2023.